Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Amma Clothing. In today's video, we'll be learning how to make an A-shaped skirt, but I'll later be turned into a dress. So my length of is 44. That's the first thing to do. Length 44, but the Ankara is already by 45, so just 1 inch allowance. And I'll be getting 20 for the width of the A-line. Depends on how you want your A-line. If you want your A-line to be 18, it's fine. If you want it to be 20, depends on how full you want it to be. But this one I'll be working with 20. That is the width. You can see I just measure my width. I'm doing the dress, but I'll be showing you the skirt part. You can see this is my length. My length is 44, but the Ankara fabric is 45, so I'll just make it 45. The half length of my dress is 19. That's on the up part. So I minus 19 from up, and I'm getting 25 from my hip and 35 for the knee. What I just chalk now. But if you want to make it your skirt, a skirt, waist to hip should be 8, then waist to knee should be 18. If the person is more taller, you can make it 20. So that's what I just did. Now my waist is waist 34. If you divide 34 into 4, you are going to get 8.5. So I'll chalk my 8.5, 1 inch for my darts and 2 inch allowance for sewing allowance. I'm going over to the hip. The hip is 44. 44 divided by 4 is 11. Then 2 inch for sewing allowance. We're not going to add that allowance to the hip. We're already adding it to the waist. So I've gotten my measurement, and that is the 2 inch for sewing allowance. So for the knee, we're going to divide the knee into 4 also. So for the knee, we are going to minus 4 from the hip. So the hip is 44 minus 4, we got 40. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. 10 plus 2 inch around, that is 12. So I'm done with the measurement now. I'm connecting. I'm going to connect from my waist to the hip, from the hip to the knee, and from the knee down to where you measure. When you measure for the first part, if it's 20, you measure, or 18, anyone you want to do, depending on how full you want it to be. So you can see I finished shaping it. I've traced it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Now I've finished cutting the skirt part. This is how the A shape is coming out. Now we are going to go ahead and mark the darts. How do we get our darts? You have to measure the person's nipple to nipple, that is the bust part, into, you have to measure then divide it into 2. For this person on is 9. 9 is 4.5. 4.5 into 2 is 9. Then you add half inch sewing allowance. That I'm getting 5. As you can see, I notch 5. That's where I'm going to get my darts from. So the nipple into 2, that's how you get the person's dart. Now we are going to go ahead and cut the back part now of this skirt. You can see I'm folding my fabric into 2 now. Placing the first one, because you use the front to cut the back because of the grading and all that. So I finished arranging it. So I'm going to go ahead and grade the back parts. How do we grade? After you place your front fabric on the back parts, you make sure the zipper allowance that you're going to bring out should be 2 inch down, because we are going to line in this dress. If there is no lining, 1.5 should be okay, or if there is a lining, 2 inch should be okay. Now for the up parts, remember we did 2 inch. For the waist parts, we are going to chalk 1.5. Get 1.5. That's for the zipper allowance. Get 1.5. Yeah, I'm going to get my hip line and my knee line for the grading. This is what's called grading. Now for the waist parts, we'll get 1.5. That's for the back. Then the hip parts, we get 2 inch. Now for the knee, we get 1.5 also. Then that 1.5, we'll take it down. By the time we sew half inch away, when sewing to come back to 1. The hip will be 1.5, the knee will be 1. When you want to fix your zip, you maintain that same 1 throughout, from the waist to the hip to the knee 1. So it will have that grading effect at the hip parts. That is that hip part. So when your bum sit, it will not fold, it will not squeeze. That is the grading for the back. This grading is, you can also use this for your gown and for skirts. So I've finished with my grading. I'm just going to cut it out now. This is the side. Now this is the zipper part, the grading part. You can see I'm just cutting out 1/2 inch allowance. Now I've gotten to the knee. I'll adjust my hand now, because the hip must still be 2. Then curve it back to my waist. My 1/2 inch is going up from the waist. You can see. Look at the way the shape come out. You can see it. You can see it. That is the hip part. Now notch the center, and also the same notching you use for the front. This is also for the back. So this is it. So I'm just going to do a little curving there, so that when you wear it, it will not just pop out like that. You want to give some nice shape. Just cut out 2 from, I just measured 2 from the down part, then just shape it a little. That part that pops out. So this is it for the cutting of the A-line skirts. Now I'll be showing you how to put lining. I'm not going to be doing a full lining, or doing a half lining. So I'll show you how to cut lining and sew it. So as I said earlier, I'm doing a half lining. Just fold my lining to 2. I'm not going to reach down, just half lining, then cut it out. This is the front part. Now I'll also be cutting the back part, divide into 2 also. Now straight to my sewing machine. I'll put my lining by one side, then start sewing. Just place your lining on the cloth and sew it. Remember, 1/2 inch. Reverse at that side. Same to do to the other part. This is the back part. This is the normal method of sewing a skirt. And this is the front part. You can see it's more wider. Just trying to make sure the notching shows well. I'll repeat it for the 2 sides until I'm done. So as I was saying, someone was helping me to iron them. So I've ironed them. I'm just closing the upper part, the up part. That is where the zip or the darts will be. That is the up part of the, that is the waist. So I'm just closing the waist parts. I've ironed them. After you're lining, make sure you iron please, that's to relax. So I'm just closing it. So I'm through with closing it. I'm going to fix the darts now. From the place I did the dart mark, that is the nipple to nipple divided by 2, then half inch or sewn allowance. For my friend is nipple to nipple divided by 2. How nipple to nipple is 9, divided by 2 is 4.5 plus half inch, that is 5. So that part we are going to fold it, as you can see I fold it, then half. Then the length will be 5.5 because we will sew 5.5 inch away, then to come back to 5. So the length is normally 5 if you are doing a straight gown, 5 for down, 4 for up, that is 9. But because this is a skirt that I will join, so I'm doing 5.5, that is 5 down, then the half inch is for the sewing allowance. I've chalked my 5.5. So this is the last one. This is the last dart I'm going to be fixing. So I'll go and be shaping it now. Okay, but before I shape, I'm going to close the sewing allowance parts. I remember I will be sewing by 1 inch. Why will sew by 1 inch? When we brought out the sewing allowance, remember it was 2 inch. We graded 1/2 inch. That means the waist was 1.5, the hip was 2 inch, the knee was 1.5. Now we have sewn out 1/2 inch throughout. So the waist is now 1 inch, the hip is now 1.5, and the knee is now 1 inch. But when you want to sew, you sew 1 inch throughout. That is the essence of the grading. We sew 1 inch throughout. 1 inch from the waist to the hip to the knee and down, 1 inch throughout. That is the essence of the grading. Why I'm sewing this down 1.5 is because the lining is not reaching down and the lining stop at the knee side. So 1.5 is still remaining at that down part. If I sew 1 inch to this knee side, it's going to have comma. It's going to show that something is not right there. So that is why I sew that down part after the knee, because the ankara come out. That's why I sew it 1.5. Now I've shaped this, the shaping. This is me sewing the shaping part. with 1.5 that come out my shape. Remember we added 2 inch, then I sew half inch for sewing allowance, then it's only 1.5 that is remaining. So this is me sewing out the 1.5. You can see I've chalked it out already. Hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. This is in hip parts. From the hip parts, I've got it on the knee, to the knee. Now down. So I'll go ahead now and fold the down part, but I'll be doing that off camera. You can weave or you fold, anyone you want to. You can hem or you fold, anyone you want to do. Voila, I finished folding. So this is the end result of our A-line skirt. You can see I didn't sew that up part because I'm going to make it a gown. Now this is the result after I make it a gown. How did it go? Hope you like it. So this is the end of result of our A-line dress. So please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. I made a corset dress. Oosh.